What did you do?
Oh.
No, I'll use Eric's typical expression, like, ¿qué hay arriba, perro?
Bienvenidos a episodio 7.
Is it?
7?
I don't know,
didn't
dude.
know
I
that.
just feel like we should just like lose track. I kind of like the idea of just like losing track
Well,
of
we
what
already
number
fucking
we're on,
lost
dude.
track, bro.
We already skipped 2. We already skipped episode 2. We went from episode 1 and then part 2 of 1 to episode 3.
Yeah, we're like fucking a fucked up Star Wars.
So we're like Xbox. You know, the next one's fucking episode S.
I know, they're like
And then-
Xbox Series X, S, X.
And then Xbox One. And then Xbox 2. Was there? No, it was Xbox 360. It was Xbox 360, Xbox One.
One. Uh-huh. And then Xbox One
and then
X.
Xbox One X.
And then now
Yeah.
Xbox Series X.
But that's just like, so there's one more PlayStation series than Xboxes, right? Because first PlayStation is a 32-bit console, and then number 2 came out at 128, and the first Xbox is a 128 system, right?
2. 3 was Xbox.
Two. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the Xbox came out right at the end of when I was right at the end of high school, and I remember the PlayStation actually coming out like when I was in 6th grade.
The things that I was fucking tripping out on. Did you know? Did you know fucking George was over at fucking Renee's when we used to go over there with Mo? He was witness to Mr.
yeah.
Nose.
I was under
I'm pretty
18 though.
sure
I was hanging out there from like 16, 17, 18. I was hanging out over there.
That was Mole's Mr.
I started
Nose,
going
bro.
over there. I think the first time I went over there, I was a junior in high school, so it must have been like 99, 2000, and I was like 16.
A junior in high school? Really? Shit. Oh, like 99?
Yeah. Do you guys remember?
You fucking.
What do you think?
Shit, I already fucked it up. It's like the whole punk scene. Like there, in the punk scene, there's like a layover of like high school kids and like adults.
Oh yeah,
was
but
Like
that's
we used to go to,
Veteranos.
there's the veteranos, yeah. And then when you're 15, you're like, wow, those people never sold out.
No, not us.
I remember thinking that.
we bought in.
I remember like there was
Yeah, we
like
bought in.
30-year-old like punk couples, and I was like, wow, like that's so cool. She brought down some punk bands, dude. She threw a concert in Imperial at the old post office there. She brought fucking Agent Orange.
Agent fucking Orange. That's nice.
Yeah, I know. My 14-year-old girlfriend threw like the best punk show that's ever happened in Imperial.
No,
It was pretty sick.
fun.
In Imperial, like the city of Imperial,
Oh, perhaps.
not the Imperial Valley.
Oh, fucking
No, I'm
Imperial.
talking about-
A guy takes a shit in the street. It's the best shit ever taken on the street in Imperial.
Then why are you arguing with me saying that she threw the best show Imperial
No,
ever
that
saw?
was Chuck. That was Chuck.
That was an argument I was merely
Where-
saying. Now, stating a fact. That's not an argument.
Agent Orange, Skank and Pickle, Saves the Day. It was a group of bands.
Or Poppy.
Well, Saves the Day was more on like the emo side. The punk ones, yeah, Agent Orange, old school. They were old. It was a sick show though. I don't know if they came because they're veterans, because it was at the Veterans Hall where we had it, which it's the old post office. Now it's the Veterans Hall. So I don't know if that had some reason why we got like, because they all played for free. It's crazy.
Was it like for a senior project or some shit?
No, she was just like had access to the internet, dude, and she just was like on these like forums back in the day on these like punk websites, like Asian Man Records, was where she kicked it a lot. So she got a bunch of Asian Man Records people to come down from like LA, and like they were on tour. And they just like stopped here. They played. It was mostly like high school kids, and then the typical like kind of punks that hung out, the older guys. But like I said, there's a couple emo. It was like hardcore. It was like kind of punk, ska, and like some emo.
It was at Renee's house when we were
Monkey playing bass in his fucking...
in his fucking Mr. Nose.
Yeah, Mr. Nose.
I was telling George, he said he doesn't remember. I was like,
The
"You
Rex.
remember shit."
The Rex, yeah.
His band was the Rex. It was the Rex, and he had Destroyer Records. So
Yeah.
I used to watch him when he was in the Rex,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were badass.
and he'd be like he would do the thing
He
where he
drunk.
holds the mic and he's like falling over like
Oh, Renee?
you know what I
Renee.
mean, like
No,
yeah,
Renee
he would
was
get
on the
stiff,
drum.
he'd get-
The Rex
Oh,
were
the-
Lou,
well.
him, and Lou sang mainly, and then I think
Yeah.
Monkey backed him up.
They used to do like,
They
baby,
had-
baby,
Well,
baby.
I remember Renee singing back when I would go.
I remember a pretty punk band called Balls Deep.
Balls Deep, that was your band, right?
That was the guys like fucking, what is it, Monkey, Lou, Johnny, who's drumming?
Joe.
Jojo, no? Yeah.
Oh, wait, didn't we go visit Jojo one time? Yeah, me and you, Chuck, didn't we go?
Yeah.
Yeah, you took me to his house one time. Because he lived with his girlfriend. It had to be you. I couldn't see you going there with anybody else.
Yeah.
And we smoked a joint outside.
I hardly remember any of that shit.
But you do remember, huh?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. Did we go with Lee? Was it me, you, and Lee that showed up?
I'm not sure.
To Joe's house?
I think it was. Yeah. It might have been just me and Chuck. Me and Chuck go on adventures sometimes. Sometimes I'll just randomly just hit up Chuck. I'll be like, Chuck, I'm going to go to Blythe. You want to roll? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So I pick him up, go to Blythe. We're like, hey, dude, you want to go smoke a joint, drive around? And he'd be like, all right. And I go pick him up. And I think that's how we ended up one time.
I don't think he smoked, did he? He didn't smoke, did he?
He pushed in the weirdest times.
Had he quit weed or something, he said? I don't remember. I don't remember if he smoked. I think he went outside with us. Like, me and Chuck smoked. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I can tell you that. Yeah, everybody can tell you that much.
That what?
That means you smoke.
Yeah. So, hey, did you guys see that last video of the guy in, what was he, in Alamos? But no. I don't know, out there in LA area, living on the street, Mexican guy. And the cops ended up fucking trying to take him under arrest or constraint or whatever.
Oh, and they killed him, right? They gave him CPR? Yeah, he is he's definitely mentally ill. He's homeless. He's totally living where he's at. Like, what he has in front of him, which is like a bike and some like bags and stuff. Like, that's his stuff. You can tell. Yeah, he's drunk. He's like not cooperating. He doesn't seem like he's being particularly violent, though. He's not like he's not being violent at all. He's just chill, not at all. But he's not listening. He's not responding to them and.
But
so they get him, and then they should have got him better. Like they don't. There's like 3 of you guys. I don't know. I think it's kind of like I have a baby, right? And sometimes I'm changing him, and he starts wanting to like flip or roll or like fight it, you know. And like sometimes I get this anger. And I'm like, oh, stop, dude. Just control him, you know. But sometimes I just want to headbutt the baby or something, right? Or like just throw him out the window. Yeah. You get angry, right? Because it's so little and it has so much power, right? Like, oh, just listen to me, baby. You know, but it's a baby. It's not going to, you know, no matter what I do. And so you got a mentally ill person that's basically a big baby. He's not going to listen to you. He doesn't comprehend what's going on, it seems like. Like, there's got to be a way to, like, subdue people, you know, like even if it's something silly, like kind of just like saran wrap a dude, you know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like just swaddle a grown man, like have a thing that just swaddles the person, you know, and you're there to grab him and take him down and like put a helmet on him so he doesn't hit his head and then throw him in the paddy wagon, you know, and do what society needs done with him, which is, you know, either put him in a mental institution or prison if he's mentally capable. But
they don't get that training. That was one of the things that popped out is they do not get the training for any kind of de-escalation. The way it sounds like from what I've been listening is we have a freaking bulldog. Right, not to talk smack about bulldogs or whatever, because some, you know, they say they're nice animals or whatever. But we have a bulldog that's we're telling him, go play with this baby squirrel. Be nice, but we're gonna have you fight. We're gonna teach you how to be what do they call them? Those fucking dogs that they use for fighting. Isn't there a name for it or something?
Bulldogs?
No, but you know what I mean? Like there's when you use the dogs for fighting, like the Michael Vick thing. That's basically what the department is. And then after 9/11, we're like, all right, bulldog. Now we know you're already violent and you know, but we want you to play nice. But we're gonna give you these freaking super suits, and we're gonna give you these super guns, and I mean, go in there. That's the issue.
Are we to like? Do we not train them? Do we not? Are they not? I'm sorry, not us, but are they not trained sufficiently? Are they not prepared?
They're trained to stop people.
Well, yeah, but to what excess, right? I mean,
to whatever excess it takes. Like they teach them how to speak, sit, like, and if they don't listen, they teach you how to take somebody down. They teach you how to use your gun, like they go for. I mean, but they're not taught how to de-escalate. Nobody, that's why they have hostage negotiators.
Let me ask you: is it too simple to become a cop? Do they not have high enough standards? Is there a type of person that seeks out to be a police officer?
Of course, people that create power. Not all police are. I mean, everybody goes in for a different reason. Don't get me wrong. To me, thank God there's cops, because sometimes you need it. We had, we've seen issues around us of domestic violence, and we'll call the police, because I mean, what are you gonna do? But they should send something else. There should be another option. There should be like a social services that goes out with them, and put them first.
Well, perhaps they should lessen their responsibilities. Maybe they shouldn't be responding to these kind of things.
That's what I'm saying.
I think part of the problem is, I mean, the cops are meant, like, they put way too much on them. I think they respond to things that they really shouldn't. We cut back, I think, on so many other programs that we put those kind of things on them,
Yeah, whatever happened to the van with the guys with the butterfly nets? That's what we need. Like in the movies, they always show those guys with the butterfly nets coming out with the white.
Yeah, they're like in a giant white kind of like cargo van.
Yeah, they're like,
kind of
like a truck,
this dude. Kind of like a semi truck with just like it's like a U-Haul truck basically.
Tracy just made like one of the episodes about that.
Even on Up, when they go pick up the old guy from Up.
I never got to see that movie.
Yeah, they come in the white suit to come to get your loony ass.
Well, see, but that's what I'm saying. It's like we cut back on so many of those programs that like can't take care of them properly or anything like that. We've closed so many centers where like they for the poor and the sick of the head. I even heard a story or two that they would like send people from other states over and like drop them off in California.
Well, LA sends them on a bus to here.
Dude, that's one of the things I challenge the real things going on at red state versus blue state, because like I feel like California has the safety net, but there's red states shipping people falling through their safety net because there isn't one really, and they ship those problematic people over here, whether it's from opioids, prostitution, meth, abuse, and just bad family. Like these people that slip through the cracks are on the streets or just unwanted. I hear it too. Is it true? Like I think I've seen like somewhat like reliable sources. Like I've definitely heard it from word of mouth from people. I've heard from actual homeless people have told me this. Like, oh, they just put me on the bus. They just bought me a fucking ticket, threw me to the next fucking.
Yeah.
All in California.
I've heard that shit before.
Well, I mean, what would you if you were a guy that's homeless? I think I've asked this before. I mean, where would you want to be? Would you want to be homeless in Alabama, or you want to be homeless in California?
I would want to be. I would want to be homeless near the places I know. I guess. I would want to be homeless.
You probably wouldn't end up homeless very long. But if you were though, like no choice, like all your family's gone, all your friends are gone, you're 65 years old, like. You got 2 tickets to give you. Like, get the fuck out of town. You want to go to California, or you want to go to Nebraska?
Yeah, check this out. Let's go to Nebraska.
Nebraska.
I'd rather go to California.
You want to go to South Dakota?
Here it is.
I mean, California.
Well, I'm just saying, most of these places that you speak of, like say Nebraska, for instance, wouldn't you suspect? Or I'm sorry, not suspect, but wouldn't you think there's more people with those Christians, morales, ethics? Morals, I'm sorry. And
there is,
But why aren't they more showing that Christian charity or that Christian understanding? I don't have words right now, but
I mean, you might get it if you show up and you're not all drug addicted, probably, and all messed up. Like you show up, you're 6 years old. A church might take you in.
Should that matter to a church?
Give you shelter.
But it's only
There
so
might be
many.
mission. There might be mission. They might not be so bogged down. You know, you go to California, it's bogged down. There's a lot of homeless people already.
Wouldn't you have bigger and more types of those institutions that have dealt with that kind of thing?
I kind of digging. I kind of feel like
I would suppose only because, you know, I mean, the bigger cities, the inner cities have more of those kind of dealings. They would know a little bit better, you know, I would assume.
Look, if I had to choose to be outside of a city, I would be outside of San Diego. I would find a tent or a bag or whatever, and I would live on the beach in San Diego. Ocean Beach, right by the pier. I mean, I either that or you want to go live in Mississippi. What's got the better climate? What's got the better feel? Where are you going to get more charity?
Is that a concern to you when you would be like that, though, you think?
Hell yeah.
I mean, most people
Bro, I grew up in Wyoming. I don't want to be homeless in Wyoming. I'll freeze to death.
I could see that. I mean, that's why we even get the homeless there in the valley for a little bit there in winter. They come in with the Canadians.
You know what I mean? Like, there's somebody that I follow on Instagram, and that's what she does in Salt Lake City. She helps out the homeless. And can you imagine? Like, she gets them like a heater, like the little heater cans. They're good for 24 hours, and she gets them on sale from a store because she like begged the store to help. And what do? They go and the cops go and get rid of the encampments and just throw them out. And that's Salt Lake City. That's the home of the Mormon temple. I mean, that's, you know what I mean?
It's just,
that's Mitt Romney.
You know,
look, right now we got work in like downtown Denver. I mean, like smack bam middle of the Capitol building, and there is homeless people all about right here. People are like saying like, "Oh, California this," and it's like, and I go, "Well, yeah, it kind of is like me driving through LA or walking around in downtown LA, kind of." And that says something, though. I mean, people are attracted also to the cities because of that, as you guys are saying, because they will be more likely helped and taken in and such. Like I said, man, I think it's because a lot of it has to do because like in the 80s, we started cutting back on them programs. And it's part of it, like I said, the cops now have to deal with some of that, if not most of that.
Yeah, they have to go clear out the embankments. And they don't.
They're not going nowhere.
Yeah, I know, but they go clear them out. Like they go, like I think there was just one recently. What in was it Ocean Beach? Or no, at what's that park in LA where
Echo?
they did Vida Loca? Echo Park. They just did one in Echo Park.
As the Latin people call it, their hecho.
And they went and they cleared it out. They don't.
They're like, bless you.
You know, they're not sitting there like. They're like, all right, Mary and Samantha, you guys are going to this hotel. No, they just go in there and they just knock over the tent. They tell them you got 2 days before we clear this out. And they just go and grab all the stuff, tear it down, just like they did they just did that to the migrant camps in Calexico. They just go in there and they tear them down, they throw them away.
What is the alternative? Like I said, the budgets aren't there to where you could say, okay, guys, we're taking you over here to this camp, or this clearing where we actually have at least tents or some kind of places that are going to be yours. I think people in their minds go like, oh, well, you're just giving them free, you're making it easy for them. They're going to choose to do that.
Me personally,
it'll help them.
Personally, I hear this a lot from a lot of people. Like, these people are taking advantage of the system. You know, they make it so easy where you can get free money. Look, if you can make it off of, I remember food stamps for people that are homeless. I think it was $150 a month. If you can live off $150 a month, and that's it. That's your nut.
Well, think about it. They think we can live off of the minimum wage.
Free rent, right?
That's what I'm saying. But if you can live off that, then you know, to me, I'm glad that's there. But I'm not gonna go and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna take Easy Street and become homeless and on food stamps. You know what I mean? And there's people that think
that's Easy Street.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, to some extent, yes, George. I mean, to put it that lowly, yes, it is.
That, you know,
it's scary, dude. That's
old
scary being homeless, too. Like,
it's very scary being homeless. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
because you're
look at that
sleeping.
metropolis that is Slab City. It's a collection
Slab
of people
City.
that dropped out of society and have like little ranches, if you will, or little fortified areas. But those are more people I think that dropped out of society, kind of thing. I think the majority of these homeless people are people that are in need, and I think if any time you brought them up and were able to like get them a good enough job where they could sustain themselves, I think they would. I think maybe 30 to 20% of those people are mentally ill and I just can't stay anywhere because they'll be evicted or people can't handle them and they
There's a lot of issues with mental health and drug addiction.
and isn't that also a part of the societal problems that what do you call it? Programs that we've cut back on that were there before? I mean, were they really this rampant and obvious and present before? They were?
Before they were. Think about it. Skid Row, LA, that's always been there.
Yes,
but it just popped up more. The big difference is we're a more populous state. There's more people in the United States, so there's more chances of being homeless.
Okay. Yeah.
We're the richest state in the richest country in the world.
And that's why we have a
but we're in the shittiest county in that state. But it's got to be one of the shittiest counties. I'm sure
we're
it's
in the
probably not
black
the
hole
shittiest.
of the state, dude. We take in more federal and state money than we actually pay out.
Yes, we do.
You know who it's going to? It's going into the farmers. They're getting subsidized, like not to grow, not to water plants.
Off subject here, but Body's taking a case to the goddamn Supreme Court.
No, not taking, not yet. I did see that. He's challenging the property of the water. If it belongs.
Good. I think I'm on his side for right now without knowing the details of the case. If anything, I'm pretty sure that a Body wants to keep it for his profit. But the value is nothing if it's agriculture.
But that's the thing, we're not just agriculture. We're really not.
What are we then, Eric? If not only our agriculture?
We're mostly agriculture. Like that's the majority of our economic output.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we're Mexicali.
That's not what we're putting out though. Like we get money from Mexicali. Mexicali gives us a lot of money. We get a lot of commerce for it. But a lot of that money, while some of it stays here, it's going to corporations that are outside the valley. Internal corporations, these farmers, they're bringing in a good amount of money, but they're also exporting something. So it's mostly farming. There's a lot of beef. I think there used to be more beef, but there's beef. There's like shit ton of alfalfa.
Hey.
Other grasses. We put a lot of grasses.
Sheep or goat?
Oh yeah, we do. Hey, did you know that the Mexicans don't use Mexicans to herd the goats no more, or the sheep either, because they were too rough. So they started bringing in people from Peru. Because like I asked a coworker one time, like, hey, man, I saw these guys. They look like Paisas, but they weren't Paisas. They look nice. They definitely they weren't Paisas. They just look different. And then like we passed by the goats, and I was like,
the greatest of all time.
He's like, oh, you know what? I know who you saw. You saw guys from Peru. And because like I described how they were dressed, and he couldn't figure it out because they were dressed kind of like Ed Hardy. They're dressed like what is it called? Jersey Shore-ish, kind of mixed with like that's kind of how they're dressed. They have like the jeans with like the fades in them, you know. They're like kind of tight with like a little bedazzle on them. They had kind of like Ed Hardy style shirts with like, you know, like peacock, dude. Like they all had like little haircuts, and like they were cruising for a bruising, dude. I tell you what, you know, and I hope they found it, but they didn't look like Mexicans. You know what I mean? Like, but I figured they were Paisas, but little Peruvian to them brawling. He's like, yeah, dude, I know who you're talking about. And then one time we saw them, and I was like, that's them.
A motherfucker named Paco. I heard your goats, you know.
They got finesse, dude.
I heard they make good ceviche, pero.
I bet, dude. The Peruvians seem like very smart. They seem like very gentle, like They don't seem stressed out.
Well, think about it, like, I don't know if this matters or anything, but the Incas actually kept rebelling until like the 1700s. They weren't really like taken in and made part of like, you know, the whole Spanish kind of landowners, church people kind of thing. They kept to their own, like, I guess, not reservations, but communities, and they still were sus modelos y sus costumbres. Pues.
The Morays and the...
They have other, I can't remember many of the other tribes from there.
Their customs and morals.
Well, that's where I think Tupac's mom got the name. There was one of the natives that was that kept kind of fighting the oppressors, if you will.
I think the big issue we have here is we're expecting law enforcement to enforce everything because we don't have. There's no other option. Whenever, like, I know, and the thing is we're not paying enough for them to be properly trained because we're too busy telling them this could be.
Oh, but we arm them. You know, we arm them like the military sometimes.
No. What I'm saying is the people we recruit are the people that are like into. We're recruiting alpha males to run the police department.
Is it a job that like attracts these people because of the institutions that are within them? I mean, there's that whole also thing that when you become a cop, you watch out for each other, you know, for each one. You won't rat the guy out when you saw him do something because you're also a cop.
It's a fraternal order is what they call the fraternal order police, if you get that. You know what I mean? They're same team.
Farva.
Because it's the war zone mentality. You know what I mean? If you treat it like a war zone, if you feel like you're at war with crime, or of course you're gonna do that. That happens in war all the time. That's where you get war crimes.
I don't know what happened. Who kicked me out?
You know, and it's an institution that was taught and bred to be like that, to be oppressors. Even from like the runaway slaves back in the day, that's where it started. Their job in the South.
Well, there was police before that. There's always been police. That's not.
No, the thing is, I don't know. Maybe this sounds a little too but cops aren't really meant to prevent crime. I guess but can you prevent crime? I suppose. And once it's going down like that, I mean, you can't help but overreact, perhaps.
Well, let me ask you something. If you're rolling a joint and a cop passes by you, what are you gonna do?
Well, back in the day, I suppose I would
Stop rolling the joint.
I would panic a little and start doing that.
You would stop.
Then
right?
does not the thing about racial thing come into that? Would a Caucasian not be as easily to do that as, say, a minority? And depending on where you live, if you're in the inner city or if you're in the suburban area.
What if cops had higher quotas to hire people from their own communities?
No, you know what? I've seen a report or two on that, and it's like if your cop lives in your neighborhood, even then, I mean, you're more in touch with them, more in a social kind of.
Yeah.
They're not as, the people around them, I guess, weren't as much like, I ain't talking to no cop, I ain't talking to no pig. No, you would be, I think, talking to them.
But you know him, like fucking Bill. I know Bill.
I think that would help. I mean, you would see him on a personal level.
Yeah, he's got an interest in the community too. Yeah. It goes both ways, you know. Whereas if it's like, what was it, like in the 60s or something in LA, they were like bringing in like racist cops from the South. That's like, what were you hoping to do with this? What was your goal here?
I heard that they send a lot of the people that they're training down to the valley.
Calexico. Do a lot of training.
Like Brawley's like the training spot. Brawley and like Imperial or something like that.
This is the one city where I think what we just said shouldn't apply. You do not want to hire from Calexico, import them from anywhere else.
Well, didn't they just break up like
that cop's gonna live in fear, dude. I'll tell you what. I would not want to be a cop in Calexico. I'd be scared to pull anybody over, dude.
How much violence is there really in or incidents of that type in Calexico?
There's just worse things than violence, man.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, the drug culture there, that's mainly also another thing that drives their communities there.
Yeah, it's just like traffic, there's traffic coming through and like you're a cop. You might just pull someone over because they ran something or going too fast and like it's about the moving weight,
Or you might be part of that order system.
It's like you put like do they come to you? Do they show up at your house like, yo, you have to join or we're gonna do the worst things to you? And you're like, oh, no.
I speak on personal knowledge, but I don't want to talk about my family old school dealings.
Well, let me ask you guys something simple.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me ask you guys something really simple. When you guys, let's say you're driving and a police officer gets behind you, do you guys get nervous?
Of course.
I don't. I feel more comfortable all of a sudden. I'm safe.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm like, what did I do wrong? I don't tend to speed. I don't tend to. My light might be out without me knowing or something like that, Well, I don't drive anymore, but
even then, what's the big deal?
I've been rarely stopped.
Exactly, dude. I haven't been stopped in like 10 years, man. Like I've made a mistake or two around the cop. Like I've run red lights, like oops, and cop just like my wife's like, oh my god. And like, nope, they don't budge, dude. She's like, what? She's like, I would have got a ticket. I'm like, you would have got shot up. They would have shot you up as you're running the light.
Well, then again, I mean, we can't talk about the problems that the inner city faces. I mean, we're a smaller community. We do also know a lot of the people around us.
We're Red County, dude. Way different, whole different world. Like we do get those benefits of like one of the worst things in our community are the cops. Like in Imperial was voted safest city in California, like 2 years in a row.
Well, Imperial's cop land, so.
Yeah, but the worst thing there is cops. The cops killed that kid. Cops have been in trouble for like raping people. Like the cops got caught with the.
What about the whole thing about like you'd rather get pulled over by like a sheriff or even a highway patrolman than a local city cop? Is there something?
Oh, and one hold on. One cop got busted sleeping with like a 50 little Captain America looking asshole.
Well, so did our mayor.
I think you guys should. Let's.
But you were saying it's better to get pulled over by a sheriff?
Yeah, I think. I tend to think that. I think that if a highway patrolman or a fucking
they're local. Sheriffs are local.
Yeah, but not the.
They're voted in. No, not the highway patrol and cops. Not really. They can be.
I think that the sheriff, the
it's a different guy now.
Sheriff?
They're voted in. I think the rest of the
deputies.
Yeah, I think the deputies are either they're deputies. But yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm not sure how that works either. I think sheriff's voted in, and then he picks his deputies basically. I'm not sure how that works. You hire them.
People apply.
Maybe that has to do because they see like we were talking. Maybe the sheriffs aren't so bad because they are part of that community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in their interest. When you're part of a community, it's in your. If your kids are there, if your own kids live there, if your parents live there, if your cousins live there, it's in your interest to actually try to make the city safer, as opposed to we're just looking for action all the time. You know what I mean?
Most likely grew up with the people around you too.
Yeah, you don't just want to go fucking fight cholos and chase them around and shit for selling drugs. And
you're probably hiding your placazo down there, You were part of it when you were going to high school too.
Yeah, you'll know what's safe. You'll be like, all right, I'm not gonna like bust them for their stupid little stuff, but I'll come and check them, and be like, hey, keep your shit to yourselves, keep it in here.
Look, if I was when I was younger,
you at the high school.
When I was younger and cops came to our party, if they were fucking sheriffs, we wouldn't be as scared or running around, Because most likely the sheriff's more like, okay, kids, grab your shit, pour it out, and get the fuck home. And I know you, Pinchy George.
Yeah. Joteando aquí.
Yeah. There was a bit.
No.
I'm gonna tell your dad. God damn it.
So ya sé, pendejo, vete. Yeah, that's what my dad would tell me. Like my dad told me like one time he got drunk and like like went off a ditch, like crashed like his dad's car, and like the sheriff just like dropped him off at home.
Well, maybe is that part of like the old culture then?
That's probably like 70s, early late 70s.
I don't know. Maybe it is the idea that we think we're more likely to be violent nowadays. We're more inculcated with the idea of we're more likely to resist.
Well, when was like peak alcohol car accidents? That shit had to hit a peak. Because I remember when I got a DUI in 2007 or 2008, I got a DUI, and it was like $2,000. But now it's like $10,000 or $15,000. I hear if you get a DUI. So like, in San Diego, it went up a bunch. And if you get like past 3 or something, like they just take your license away. And it's because like people just kept killing people.
Well, see, that's what I've always told people. Criminals, those kind of things aren't going to deter a criminal. If I'm down to do some like dirty stuff, getting caught is the last of my concern. I want to go kill this motherfucker. I want to go rob this goddamn store. You know, I wouldn't have been in that mentality if I thought, oh damn, I'm gonna get caught, so I shouldn't do that. Like I said, maybe they don't deter much crime. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, can you deter crime in that sense?
I'm sure if you start increasing the penalties for getting caught with the DUI, like for first-time offenders, instead of waiting for your third DUI to charge you $15,000, just hit people with that first DUI.
Okay, well, wouldn't that affect the people of lower means more?
Yeah, but it's also going to keep them from like murdering someone. Because it does. You're right.
But George, I really think that it's not going to a cop is not going to deter you, or the fact, like I said, that you're going to get caught is going to stop you from committing a crime. Maybe the common.
It does though. Sure. I think statistics show that boots on the ground deter crime. Like an increase in like the cop presence in like places like New York have reduced crime. Even stop and frisk like overall reduces people going to prison. It increases people going to jail, you know, and it can put an arrest on someone's record because they had a pocket knife or had something that they weren't supposed to have, a little bit of weed, a little bit of coke or something.
Then let's put cameras right everywhere we want, and we can have somebody just sitting around,
Oh, well, you don't need cameras. Like, you need presence. The cameras can be avoided and stuff. But if you have like these young men who did get stopped and frisked and busted for something, in the long run, don't end up in prison, because the prison rates dropped. Arrests went up because people got busted early on.
Maybe not.
They got in trouble.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, on paper, statistics show that.
Could it be because we stopped considering so many things such a large offense? I mean, like maybe even drugs.
I think at that time, and I don't think at that time that was happening. I don't think during the stop and frisk era they were loosening any of the laws at all. If anything, to the contrary. That kind of stuff came more recently. That's the Blasio era.
You think the third strike thing really stopped crime?
It says it did. Like on paper, the statistics say it has. Okay. Like crime's down. Even incarcerations are down.
But even in stop and frisk, it was never done fairly.
I'm not saying it was.
No. I understand.
It did target minorities.
So by you saying that, then minorities, like people that are committing more crime.
But the minorities that were committing more crime, it was just minorities that were being caught for more crime.
Oh no, they
were being targeted. Yeah, the cops, a minority in gangster dress, he's pulling him over for no reason, even though he hasn't done anything. But if they know there's a likelihood that he's going to have weed on him or something stupid. Ecstasy pills, or he's 18 with beer.
Okay. Huh? I get you. Well, no, I'm just saying.
I mean, it was there was a lot of racism there, But I'm the statistics show afterwards that the increase of cops' presence.
There's no but. There should never be a but. It's like saying,
well, okay, and
look, no,
it was racist, and the crime went down.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's the same thing. Same. You could say the same thing when
but where did the crime go
down? They killed a
down?
lot of Jews, but you know what? The crime went down, right?
Yeah.
In Jewish community.
But they weren't. But they're not killing Jews here. They're actually in the long run reducing the death rates of these people. So they're helping. Like the community at whole is being helped.
Okay.
I think that's not. They're being held hostage.
Is it
Bro, if I can't walk home because I'm worried a cop's gonna pull me over and could kill me or put me in jail.
What if you can't? Well, okay. What if you're 14 years old and you can't walk home because you're afraid you can get mugged or beat up and stuff like that?
Yeah, but it's not equal. It's not equal, and it's not the kid for living there. You know what I mean? And that poor 14-year-old kid's the one that's gonna get killed because he's trying to get home. Look what happened in Florida with Trayvon Martin.
Not by the cops though. Yeah, they're more likely to get killed by gang members, dude, than they are by the cops. Like just statistically, like those statistics are like there's people get blasted on accident all the time. There's a lot of collateral damage from these gang fights. Like I think cops actually doing something effective has to be at least like looked at. It doesn't mean that stop and frisk was good, but it does mean that boots on the ground is good. Maybe lighter punishments, but catching people and helping them get out of a life of crime.
But that's the thing; they weren't doing that. Remember, they were going for mandatory sentencing, max sentencing. So the reason the crime was going down is because you're putting a bunch of people in jail, a bunch of people that don't have any other means to get money. You know what I mean? That's back when the crack era was around and all that. I mean, when you live in the city, there's not much work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not getting very much food. It's a food desert. They're getting bad food. You work at a McDonald's. You know what I mean? You're not making much money. You got kids. You know what I mean?
They got lead poisoning from the gasoline.
Yeah,
at least their parents and grandparents have all kinds of lead poisoning. No, I know the chips are stacked. I'm just the police. While there is systemic racism, definitely was before a whole bunch of it. You see it now with hindsight. The efforts aren't always or have to be negative. Like our vice president now. She was criticized a lot for harsh laws, and Joe Biden too, against black fathers. People say a lot, right? They targeted black people, it seemed like. But I think they just need to clean up these cities. Like, the stuff that led to it was racist, but they had to deal with the effects. They couldn't let the effects bring down the rest of the community. And they did harsh measures as kind of like an emergency, like they hit like emergency brakes to stop, because the 80s got real dark, it seemed like, for like the black community in America with the crack epidemic.
Yeah, but they were also going after crack people more than cocaine people. If you were caught with crack, you were sentenced harsher than cocaine.
Yeah, because cokeheads aren't in the streets running around doing God knows what.
Because they're privileged. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're privileged. So let's let them get away with the same crime.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're not endangering the lives of children.
Yeah, they are.
I think that's the wrong way of looking at it.
Well, you need to let the police know how they are. Because that's a crime.
Because the police probably live in the same area, and they'll let them go. Look at there was a story here. I think it was in L.A. where some kid that drove a Lamborghini killed some lady, and they never charged him for crime till recently, because his dad was like a mogul.
He's
or
rich.
something.
They're millionaires, like multi-millionaires.
Yeah. I mean, look at Caitlyn Jenner killed somebody, and she didn't go to jail.
Dude, and like it's like it never happened. That's one of those memory hole things where like people are right. Like that shit got memory holed. Like,
but that shit happened.
Like most people I talk to are like, it happened, right? I'm like, I think it happened, right?
Or they're at the party bragging about it.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have those memory holes when you're in a minority community. Nobody's gonna be like, oh yeah, was he really smoking weed outside, or was he out late? Do you know what I mean?
Now, is part of you picking up?
They put him in jail. There's no second chance for your minority. There was never a second chance. It's max. They want to show the numbers. You know what? This is all the crime we stopped. These are the people that are in jail. And then the prison started becoming for profit.
Yeah, I hate that.
You know what I mean? So where are they gonna go get them? Let's go churn them out. These poor people that are out there. They'll get tickets. They would get parking tickets. They would get a jaywalking. Even though in the same city, but on the other side of town, people would jaywalk.
You know, they were over in the inner city or the lower or the more commercial areas.
I think they're using that as an excuse to catch them because there's a higher likelihood that they have.
No,
according to these people, I think studies have shown that white people and other non-minorities are just as likely to be carrying drugs, if not more likely.
Yeah, and because it's less of a deterrent in the heads of that I'm going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're talking about inner cities and with the social program and the fact that there would be more jobs that would actually be able to sustain yourself on available within those places, would that deter crime?
Look, if they were to invest money inside the inner city, if they were to try to revamp the inner city, absolutely. The only issue is they're trying to put industrial parks in there. They're trying to, you know what I mean? You're not putting in the right jobs. You're not investing in it.
And hang out.
Where's the wind coming from? Is that you, Chuck?
Oh, that's me. My bad. I got a little too comfortable there outside. It was nice and breezy.
It's nice outside, I can tell.
Yeah, it is.
That's the big issue. Like,
it's about 60 some degrees out here.
When I lived in Brawley, we were kids. We did. Yeah, we did. We were dumb. We tried underage drinking, and they let us go. The police officers were actually very nice to us. But at the same time, like here, when I'm driving, if a police officer pulls up behind me, I get freaked out because I'm like, did I make that stop? Is he gonna catch me for not making a stop? Then I'm gonna get a ticket. Where am I gonna get the money to pay for the ticket? You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Because regardless, like that poor kid that was killed. Oh, where was it? Was it in Wisconsin? Yeah, because he had a ticket. He had a
recent one?
No, this is the one right after when they were doing the George Floyd trial.
Yeah. They chased him. The cop told him to stop. He stopped. They say he threw the gun away. I'm not sure, or whatever he was.
They thought it was.
He turned around and he popped him.
No. You talking about the little cholo kid or guy in the car? The lady that killed the guy.
Yeah, lady said cholo.
Yeah, no. The first
dude, he's Little Cholo. His name was Little Homicide. It's just
right.
You know, I think it's a tragedy he died. He's a little cholo, man. Like, it's not his fault. He's a little kid, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, profiling is a bad thing. But I mean, it's a necessary evil, I suppose. But it shouldn't be the one standard you go by right away. I think, right? And once you see something going on, there's a suspicion, perhaps. But to say to go down a street and see the guy that's in plaid or a Ben Davis shirt rocking the Cortez, they're the guy you're going to pay attention to right away, instead of the person walking down with the khakis and whatever they're rocking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is profiling a good thing? Is the fact that they're profiling to a smart criminal going like, well, I'm not going to fit their file?
Look, that's proof. That poor kid. The poor kid had to fix the ticket. His registration was up. We're in a pandemic.
Oh, the lady that said she was reaching for stun gun and
No.
Oh.
No. Okay, hold on. He wasn't reaching. He wanted to leave. He tried to get away, which is wrong, yes. But I mean, it was a bench warrant over a fix-it ticket. There was no need for her to go and shoot him, even if she was reaching.
He didn't have was he reaching for something?
No, he was just getting in his car to get away. And
he started actually driving away a little bit, right?
Yeah, and they shot him. It's like, why would you shoot?
They ended up crashing into something after he was shot.
He was dead. He got shot in the chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a bench. A lot of people during the pandemic, the DMV wasn't. I didn't have a license. My license was showing expired, even though I paid for it because I never got it in the mail. Why? Because of pandemic. So for a good while.
Wait. It's not just necessarily pandemic. Isn't this already? This has just brought it more up to light, perhaps, or more.
No,
Maybe
no.
right. It's
Like the
happening
DMV was
more because
closed.
of
You couldn't go to the DMV. I mean, there was laws where they were letting people park, even though they weren't supposed to be parked overnight. They're letting them park overnight, stuff like that, because of the pandemic. I mean, some people can't be sheltered in home. Some people live in their cars. You have to keep moving your car, and you have to keep, I mean, it happens. So there was already lax laws on don't give them tickets for registrations because a lot of people lost their jobs. So they already knew there's no reason to go chase that kid because he had an expired license. You know what I mean? That was the bench warrant he had, is because he didn't do, it was a fix it or something. And they told him, you have a warrant. But I mean, why go shoot him? Why go stop? You have his plates, you know who he is, you know where he lives.
No, you should have listened to the cops. You should have cooperated.
Well, there's always going to be a shoulda, coulda, woulda. But you shouldn't end up dead, especially if they know you.
No, I know, but that's usually the one person that will say some shit like that.
Even if they cooperate, people could die because it is
Yeah.
a scary thing. You have a guy, you have a police officer that has a gun, and depending on how he is, what mindset it is in, anybody could die. It's just like if you're in the military. You know what I mean? If you have a weapon of death on you, they could use it, maybe by accident. I mean, they say if you have a gun at home, you're more likely to die by that very own gun by suicide or anything like that. Just for
So
having.
where's it most likely that in England people don't get shot by a cop, right?
They don't have guns.
They're not exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, is there more cops killed in England or overall in the country than there are here in the United States?
No, it's pretty cut and dry that statistically, like, there's just way less gun violence in like most of these other countries. Like, we're just out of control. Like,
yeah, combined. I mean, we're way above.
Pretty much, yeah. We're fucking out of control. Dude. We basically Yosemite Sam. We're just shooting inside the house. We're shooting everywhere. Like, we're always got 2 6-shooters ready to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, we slapped the guy on the wrist because he shot outside a window, even though that poor girl was killed while she was asleep. And then they tried to pin a crime on the guy who was firing a warning shot because they never announced themselves. That's Breonna Taylor. And it was clear that she had nothing to do with the warrant that they did. It's just when you go and sell a warrant to people in a jury, you're going to probably get it because they're really convincing.